Today's video is going to focus on Zoom. I know for the most part, most people by now have probably already worked within Zoom, so you're fairly comfortable with it. This video is geared towards the people that probably haven't needed to use it yet, so I just want to take a few moments and just show some of the features. I'm going to do this in a two-part video. The first video, which is this one, will kind of cover the basics of just getting in and some of the scheduling features and some of the settings that you can go into and some different things you can do before you actually get into a meeting. The main focus of this video, though, will be on how to schedule meetings, how to do reoccurring meetings, and things like that. If you haven't had any experience with Zoom yet, this will be a great video for you to watch. And then I will shortly after have another video that will show you some of the in-meeting features. So once you're in a meeting, how to move around and how to use Zoom. Otherwise, let's jump in. Before I open up Zoom, I'd like just to take a moment just to show you how to download it. So you want to make sure you open up your web browser, Safari, Chrome, whatever browser you prefer using. And you want to go to zoom.us/support/download. And that'll take you right there. You can also just look up Zoom download for Mac or Windows, and that'll also take you right there. And most of the time, once you get right to this page, it'll auto download it, but it'll also give you some links that you can click to download it also, and it'll download it right to your computer. So if I click the little download button, you'll see that it actually had already downloaded. You can open that up and install Zoom right to your computer. It does work through the browser, but I would highly suggest you downloading the actual program because that'll actually give you quite a few additional features. So once you have it downloaded and installed, we're going to actually open it right up. So I'm going to come down to my dock and click on Zoom. So this is your main screen. If you are opening it for the first time, it'll have you log in. So if you're log in with your Google button or however your account is created on it, you want to log in with your account. Once you are logged in, though, this is the main screen that you will see. And across the top, you've got 4 navigation tabs. You've got the home, you've got chat, you've got meetings, and you've got contacts. So on the home screen, I find I don't use the other tabs too often aside from the meetings tab. I don't think I've ever used chat contacts, but they are there just in case. So you've got the new meeting tab. That will start a meeting instantly. That'll boot you right into a meeting. You're off and running. You can invite anybody from there and do anything that you need. The second button you have here is join. So if somebody has sent you some information on how to join a Zoom, you can click on that. In that email, there should be a part that says meeting ID, and you'll want to put that meeting ID in. You can tell it to turn off your video. So when you first get into the meeting, your video won't be on. And you can also tell it to not connect to audio. Up to you. I would probably not suggest not connecting to audio because kind of the point of being in here is that you can talk to the other people. But you can turn off your video if you'd like. Some people I know don't feel comfortable or just don't want to have their video on. Or you just don't want it on as soon as you get in. What you could do is check that box. Once you're in and ready, then you can turn your video on from within the meeting. So you'll go ahead and paste in the meeting ID right there, and you'll click join. What'll then pop up 9 times out of 10 is a passcode box. So in the meeting invitation that you received, you'll see a meeting ID and you'll also receive a passcode. You want to paste that passcode in. The passcode helps protect the meeting. So if you remember months and months ago when everything was really getting going, especially with Zoom's popularity, you had a lot of those Zoom bombings. Having a passcode will help prevent that. There's also another feature that will allow you to prevent that too, and I'll show you once we get into some of the settings how to do that. So once you do that and get in, it'll take you right into the meeting. Most of the time what it'll do is it'll put you into a waiting room, and once the host of the meeting has admitted you, you will then be in the meeting. Usually only takes a couple minutes unless you're there really early. And that may not even take that long. Just depends how long it takes for the host to see that you're sitting there waiting. The share screen feature is really handy, especially if you have a secondary device like a Zoom D10 TV. But the share screen feature is really just meant for if you have an external device, Zoom capable device that you can share your laptop screen with the Zoom meeting. So depending on what setup you have, you may or may not be using that. The last option is the schedule. So this is when you want to schedule a meeting in advance. You'll tap on that. At the top here, you can put in a topic. and I'll put in Adam's test meeting. You can set a date and time. You can set how long it goes for. And you can set reoccurring meeting. I will show that one in just a second. I'm going to first show how to set up just a one-time meeting. Have it generate the meeting ID automatically. The next section is under security. You can disable or enable your passcode feature. You'll see for me it's grayed out where I can't uncheck it or check it. That's because we have an organizational account, and from that I have actually set it where no one in our organization can disable a passcode. It does allow me to change it, and you'll see right here it actually says only allow numeric passcode. So that means it'll only allow numbers. We have a lot of devices in school, and I would strongly suggest for you also to only set a number code, because if you have other Zoom type devices like TVs or other Zoom capable devices that are joining in, a lot of those devices you can't put letters in. You can only put in numbers. So you want to make sure you set those for numbers. The waiting room, I would also suggest keeping that on. What the waiting room does is this really ensures that nobody you don't want does not get into the meeting. With it checked, what it'll do is when you start the meeting as a host, you'll get right in, you'll be ready to go. When somebody comes to join that meeting, what will happen is once they put in the meeting ID and the passcode, they'll be then put into a waiting room where you have to then admit them into the meeting. So it really cracks down and makes sure that nobody gets into the meeting that shouldn't be there. Especially if you want it more controlled. And let's say you're doing it with a bunch of students, and say one of your students tries to be a little troublemaker and they send out the passcode and the meeting ID out to somebody else and they try to get in. This allows that to be prevented. So you could actually just not admit them into the meeting and only have the people you want in the meeting in. So for video, you can set the host to be on or off to start, and you can also set participants' video to be on or off to start. I would suggest putting them on for both. Audio, I would only do computer audio. Otherwise, somebody would phone in and things like that. You find that's not really done much anymore. For calendar, what calendar is it going to save it to? I have my iCal synced to this, but you can also have your Google Calendar synced or other calendars. This will come into play when you're scheduling recurring meetings. So I'm going to leave it iCal, and I'm going to hit save. And now it's asking to add it to my calendar. So I'm going to hit OK, but I could change. I have a couple of categories here. So I can select what category I want and hit OK. And there's all the information. Let's say I want to send this meeting out to somebody else. I could take all of this part right here, highlight it, copy it, and I can email that off to anybody I want. But let me jump back into Zoom now. And you'll see right here it says Adam's test meeting at 3 p.m. to 3:30. If I click on the meetings tab across the top, you'll also see that here with some options. The first one is start. So I can go ahead and start my meeting right away. The next one is I can copy the invitation. So if you want to email this out to somebody, you can go click copy invitation and email it, and I'll show that in just a second. You can edit the event, you can delete the event, and you can join from a room. That's only if you have Zoom TV room feature, which most people don't have. So you can just ignore that one if you happen to see it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the invitation, because let's say I want to email it out. So what I'm going to do is come into my email, and I'm going to hit compose. I'm going to send it to one of my other email accounts. But there is where you can put in everybody you want to send it out to. And I'll say test Zoom meeting. I'm going to come below here and I'm going to paste. And now you'll see it just pasted in all the information. So what it has here is a one-click link. So if people want to just join quick by clicking on that link, they can. But also right below it, it puts the meeting ID and passcode so people can manually enter the meeting. And then you click send, and everybody that you invited will then have the invitation to get into the meeting. And as you schedule more meetings, it will also add them into this list. Back on the Home tab, it will just show you upcoming meetings that you have for the day. So each day you log in, it will show you all those meetings you have right out of the start. So now we've scheduled a meeting, just a single meeting. Now I want to show you how to do a reoccurring meeting. So we're going to come back in, meeting number 2. I'm going to set it as reoccurring, and you're going to notice all the calendar stuff will disappear. Not a big fan of this feature, but here's how it works anyways. It's controlled by your calendar. So you'll see what happens in a second. I'm going to go through and just leave all this stuff default. And I'm going to say you can go through and set all these the way you want, but I just want to get to show you how to do these reoccurring meetings. So you're going to hit save. Now it's going to pop up and ask me what calendar. So I'm going to say my work calendar. Now, for me and my calendar, it depends on if you're doing it to Google Calendar or any of those things, but you want to click on the actual date and time feature and you'll see this repeat feature. If I click on that, and I know in Google Calendar it works exactly the same, you can have it repeat every day, every week, every month, every year, or you can custom as it repeats. So I could say I want this meeting every week at 2:42, and I could set the time, and then I hit apply. And as I jump through, you're going to see this meeting now shows up in my calendar. Every week I click on, it will show up. Now, the nice thing that people might ask is, well, if I make it reoccurring and it shows up in my calendar, can't people join that meeting ahead of time? When you stop the meeting's done. It's not like some of the other platforms that when you end your meeting, if there's people still in it, even though the host leaves, those people can still stay. When the host, meaning you, the one scheduling the meeting, leaves the meeting's done for everybody. So you can't have stragglers that are left behind. And they also can't get into the meeting because you've set up the waiting room and the passcode. So in the waiting room, they can't sit and talk to each other. The waiting room is kind of a blind entry. They just are. It's just a message that shows up saying, wait for the host to let you into the meeting, is all that happens. They can't see everybody else in the waiting room. So each week, you would just go in and start your meeting a few minutes before the meeting starts. Anybody that's sitting in the waiting room, you can bring them in and off you go. So that's how you set up a reoccurring meeting. You save it to your calendar, then you set up the repeat within your calendar. So that's how you schedule meetings. So you have two ways again to schedule a meeting. You can schedule a single meeting, which will then also save to your calendar. Then you can do a reoccurring meeting, which then you have to go into your calendar and set it up when you want that meeting to reoccur. So that's the two ways to do that. And again, if you come into the meetings tab up here, you'll see a list of all your meetings that are coming up. The last section I want to show you before we get into a meeting, if you click on your little icon here on the top right, you will see a bunch of features here. You'll see that you're available away, do not disturb, meaning other people in your contacts could see if you're available or not within Zoom. You could change your profile pictures. You can look for help, check for updates. Always good to do that every now and then. You can change the view from portrait to landscape. You can switch account. If you have multiple Zoom accounts, you can actually switch those. And then you can also click on settings to go into your settings. In your settings, you can configure everything that you want. You can choose your reaction skin tone. You can choose your theme, if it's light, dark, or uses a combination of both. I would just go through and look at all these different features. If you have dual monitors, you can set it up to use dual monitors. You can have it start full screen when you join a meeting, so it's not just a little part of your screen. Does it always show the meeting controls, or does it hide them after a little while? Does it copy the invite link when you start a meeting so you can send it out right away? Does it ask you to confirm so you don't accidentally leave a meeting? Does it show how long the meeting's been going? Add it to the OS bar at the top here. Stop my video and audio when my display is off. So lots of different settings. Under video, you'll see my camera right there. You can choose your different types of video that you have in the different cameras. If you have like a Logitech webcam plugged in, you can choose that here. You can mirror it, you can touch up your appearance, you can adjust for low light. It gives you lots of different settings. I would strongly suggest just kind of looking through all these different settings to see what you would like to set. Under audio, you can test your mic out. You'll see that I'm talking, so it's actually picking up my voice in the testing of Zoom. You can test your speakers. You can choose how it suppresses or cuts down the background noise, or you can set it to auto. I'm using a really nice mic, which has really good features and helps cut down on those things. But if you have mics that aren't as good quality, you might want to increase it and play around with it. The show in meeting option to enable original sound. If you are using a nice mic, or any kind of mic that plugs in and not just the built-in mic, you want to tick that box. That will ensure it gives you the best possible audio quality that you can have. And once you go into the meeting, I wish you could turn it on by default, but you do have to enable it once you're in the meeting. In my next video, I'll show you how to do that. So I would just suggest looking through all these features and just seeing what you want to turn on and off. So again, just to recap, you've got your 4 tabs across the top here. You got your home that keeps you on this main screen. You got your chat that shows you the different chats you've had. You've got your meetings that shows you a list of all of your meetings. You've got contacts, so you can actually save your contacts in here to more easily contact them through Zoom. And then on your home screen, you can start a new meeting instantly. Here's the button you click to join a meeting. Here's the button you click to schedule a meeting, and here's the button you would click to share a screen if you have a Zoom-capable device that you want to share your laptop screen to. I hope you found this video helpful for some of the basics of Zoom. Again, this video just kind of focused on just some of the stuff before you get in. I'm going to have a follow-up video that will show you, once you're in a meeting, how things can work and what you can do from inside an actual Zoom meeting. Again, if you have any questions, please hit me up and leave a comment below. You can also hit that like button that's down there too. And also, while you're at it, since you're right there, go ahead and subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date with my latest video tutorials. I hope you find these videos helpful. I really try to gear them towards teachers and students. I know some other people might find them of use too, but my real audience is fellow teachers and students. Otherwise, this is Adam on Tech, signing off.